My name is Ms. Higgins, and I am 53 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, and for the past 20 years, I have been the librarian at Westlake High School. My mornings usually start before the sun even thinks about peeking over the horizon. I rise with the quiet hum of my old refrigerator and the gentle whir of the ceiling fan in my small, cozy home, a place filled with more books than furniture. I love the stillness of those early hours, sipping my tea, watching the sky lighten, and thinking about the day ahead. The library is more than just a job. It is a sanctuary, a quiet haven for lost thoughts and budding dreams, and I consider myself the guardian of its peace. I greet the students with a smile, helping them navigate the towering shelves of stories and knowledge, finding that perfect book for a report or just the right escape for a tough day. Seeing a student's eyes light up when they discover a new author, or when a challenging research project finally clicks into place, that is the deepest satisfaction I know. It makes all the late nights and early mornings feel worthwhile. But beneath that quiet satisfaction, a heavy weight had begun to settle over me, a silent, creeping worry that made my usual morning calm feel brittle. My parents passed away years ago, and I never married, so it's just me. I always prided myself on my independence, on managing everything myself. Recently, though, life had decided to throw me a curveball shaped like a stack of medical bills. My little sister, Sarah, who lives out of state, had been diagnosed with a serious illness, and while insurance covered a good portion, the copays, the specialized treatments, and the travel expenses for her children to visit her were piling up faster than I could keep track. I sent what I could, quietly dipping into my small savings, trying not to worry her. Then came the unexpected news from the school district, a pension freeze for veteran teachers and staff, coupled with a significant increase in my own health insurance premiums. My small, reliable paycheck suddenly felt inadequate. My internal nemesis, a whisper of fear, began to haunt me. Am I strong enough to face this alone, Ms. Higgins? Can I keep my head above water? What if I fail, Sarah? What if I lose everything I have worked for? The thought of being unable to help my sister, or worse, becoming a burden myself, was a constant, icy grip on my heart. I tried everything I could think of to improve my situation, to fight off the rising tide of expenses. I started driving for a ride-sharing service on weekends, navigating the bustling Austin streets after long days at the library. The tips were modest, but every dollar counted. I cut back on every non-essential expense, swapping my favorite artisanal coffee for instant at home, packing humble lunches, and even learning to repair minor things around my house instead of hiring help. I applied for a grant to update the library's computer system, hoping the extra effort might be noticed by the administration and perhaps lead to a small bonus, though I knew it was a long shot. I even started knitting scarves and selling them at a local craft fair, my fingers aching at night from the repetitive motion. Each small effort felt like an upward climb on a slippery slope, giving me a tiny glimmer of hope. But the setbacks kept coming, relentless and disheartening. The ride-sharing income was inconsistent, sometimes barely covering the gas. My old car developed an expensive transmission problem that wiped out months of my hard-earned extra money. The library grant application was rejected, the funds awarded to another school district. And then, the worst news. Sarah's condition worsened, requiring an even more expensive experimental treatment that insurance barely touched. It felt like every step forward was met with 2 steps back. My lowest point arrived like a sudden, fierce storm. I had been counting on a small, long-forgotten life insurance policy from an elderly aunt to finally give me some breathing room, enough to cover Sarah's immediate needs and fix my car. The paperwork was nearly complete, the funds just days away. I allowed myself a fleeting moment of relief, picturing Sarah's hopeful smile. But then the call came. A distant cousin had contested the will, tying up the policy in a legal battle that could last for years. I sat at my kitchen table, the phone still clutched in my hand, staring at the growing stack of bills, my sister's latest medical update pinned to the fridge, a car repair estimate lying beside it. The world felt like it was closing in, suffocating me. "This is it, Ms. Higgins," the voice of my internal nemesis whispered, colder and more insistent than ever. "You cannot do this. You are failing. It is time to give up. Sell the house, retire early, let someone else handle it all." Tears streamed down my face, silent and hot, as I felt the crushing weight of utter defeat. The library, my haven, suddenly seemed like another burden, another place I had to pretend to be strong in. I truly felt I had nothing left to give, One particularly grueling morning, just a week after the inheritance news, I walked into the library before any of the students arrived. The silence usually comforted me, but today it only amplified the hollowness inside. My eyes were heavy, my spirit drained. I walked past the circulation desk, ready to unlock the doors, and there, sitting precisely in the middle of my worn wooden desk, was a single, perfect red rose, its petals unfurling gently, a few drops of dew still clinging to its velvety surface. It was not the first time. For the past 6 months, a fresh rose had appeared on my desk every single morning, Monday through Friday, without fail. I had no idea who was leaving them. I had tried to catch the person, staying late, coming in extra early, even setting up a small, discreet camera that failed to capture anything useful. It had become a small, sweet mystery, a tiny spark of beauty in my increasingly dim world, but I had no idea of its true significance. This morning, however, seeing that vibrant splash of red against the dull gray of my despair, something inside me stirred. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was still unexpected beauty, still an unseen hand reaching out. As I stared at the rose, a letter caught my eye, tucked neatly beneath its stem. My hands trembled slightly as I opened the envelope. It was handwritten in a careful, somewhat familiar script. "Dear Ms. Higgins," it began, "I know you might not remember me, but you changed my life. Years ago, I was a student here, lost and angry, struggling with everything. I was on the verge of dropping out. You saw something in me no one else did. You helped me find books that spoke to my soul, you listened without judgment, and you guided me towards a scholarship application I never thought I'd get. You taught me the power of stories and the power of kindness. Because of you, I graduated, went to college, and now I run a small tech company right here in Austin. I heard through the grapevine, from a mutual friend who works at the school, that you are going through a difficult time. Please know that the roses are just a small token of my gratitude, but I want to do more. I have set up an anonymous fund for you, enough to cover your sister's medical expenses and to help with your own financial worries. It's not charity, Ms. Higgins. It is a debt of gratitude I can never fully repay. You showed me that even when you feel completely alone, someone sees you, someone cares. You were my turning point. Please let me be yours." My vision blurred with tears again, but this time they were tears of profound relief, of overwhelming gratitude, of a hope so bright it chased away every last shadow of despair. This was the kindness I had unknowingly cultivated, the ripple effect of a seed I had planted years ago. I took a deep, shaky breath. I wasn't alone. I never had been. I realized in that moment that true strength wasn't about carrying every burden by myself. It was about having the courage to accept help when it was offered, to believe in the enduring power of human connection. I would take this leap of faith. The weeks and months that followed were transformative. The anonymous fund, managed discreetly by a local financial advisor, lifted the crushing weight from my shoulders. Sarah received the best possible care, and her health began to steadily improve. My car was repaired, and the fear of losing my home vanished. My new normal was filled not just with relief, but with an invigorated sense of purpose. I felt lighter, more present, more alive than I had in years. The quiet moments in the library were no longer tinged with worry, but with a renewed appreciation for every student who walked through the doors. I started a kindness corner in the library, a bulletin board where students could anonymously share stories of unexpected kindness they had received or witnessed. I also began a mentorship program, connecting struggling students with alumni who had once walked these very halls, much like my anonymous benefactor. I shared my own story, without revealing the specifics, about how one act of kindness had changed my life, emphasizing that even the smallest gesture can have an immeasurable impact. I wanted every student to understand that they, too, had the power to be that light for someone else. And every morning, without fail, a fresh red rose still graces my desk, a daily reminder of the profound connection that binds us all. One day, a few months later, I received a quiet email from the financial advisor handling my fund. It was just a brief update, but one sentence made my heart swell. "The donor," it read, "has also established a perpetual scholarship fund at Westlake High School in your name, Ms. Higgins, specifically for students facing financial hardship who demonstrate resilience and a love for learning. They wanted you to know that your legacy will continue to inspire generations." It wasn't just a twist of fate. It was the universe echoing back the kindness I had given, proving that sometimes the seeds of hope we plant in others grow into the most beautiful and unexpected gardens for us all. Things truly do get better, especially when we open our hearts to the unseen connections that make us human.